Because the world, the culture will tell you like that it's all about approval, and the culture will tell you that, you know, you haven't made it unless you did this, unless you took these steps, or unless you did that, when it's totally not true at all, you know. And, you know, although I would love to be on Broadway and, you know, and be in The Lion King, and if they called me soon, I would probably take that opportunity. But if they don't call me, like the reality is that as a worship leader, I get to sing messages that change people's lives, you know.
Yeah. Today's show is sponsored by you guys. Please support the show by whatever means feels right for you. You can support financially by following the PayPal link in the show notes. You can like and share the podcast page on Facebook and Twitter. And you can for sure subscribe and leave a review on iTunes to make sure you get the latest episodes fed right to your computer or smartphone. Thanks for your trust and continued support. We're going to open up the show. Thank you guys for joining me for episode, I think we're at 14 of Generation Giants podcast.
Yeah.
My name is Kyle, and today we've got Robbie Madison and Mikel Simmons. And so I actually didn't even know this until probably the last 6 months, but you guys are brothers.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny. Well, and so as an intro, well, Robbie, you can probably supplement what I'm about to say, but you are the head youth leader at the Seacoast James Island campus, and you've held that title for a year and a half.
Yes.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
And you're a great musician. You do gigs on the side. And how long have you been doing gigs on the side?
So we grew up in a very musical family. So I started music when I was very young, elementary school, and then probably started singing out when I was 13 or 14 years old. So I don't want to do the math, but it's probably about
50 years.
How young are you, Robbie? How young are you?
17 or 18 years ago.
50.
Notice I said how young you are, not how old you are.
Yeah, I am 31.
31.
45.
I'm 31 years old. And
The two-thirds rule.
45.
You always tell people two-thirds of your age.
Yeah, clearly this is my little brother.
Clearly.
Trying to make me older than I am.
And Mikel, so I met you at the Seacoast summer camp last year, actually.
Yes.
So I was sort of one of the team leaders. And Robbie, you were too.
Yeah.
And you were a student leader.
Yeah.
You were probably 18, 19 at the time.
I was 7, 8.
Whatever you are right now, -1, I think.
I was 17.
You were 17.
18.
You're
Okay.
18.
I was 18.
You were somewhere in that realm.
I just graduated high school. I remember that.
Right.
I came as a student. Yes.
And so you are also an avid musician. You've done a school of worship, right?
Yes, did that for 9 months.
So you did a 9-month Seacoast School of Worship prior to it being what it is kind of now, which is an actual college degree. And you're pursuing worship possibly as a career path.
I don't know yet.
Sure. Well, you're very talented and you appear to be approaching that, right? But we'll kind of get into that. And you're sort of a student leader. Would that be your title at the James Island campus?
Yeah, I'm one of the student leaders. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Right. So let's talk about the music thing. So whenever I talk to guys with music, so I interviewed one of you guys' students last week, Michael Root. Whenever I talk to people about music, I feel like everyone else is an expert because I know very little about anything. So especially the theory, but I can tell you I do like music. I can tell you that
Guitar
much.
Hero.
Right. So
Which I'm not at all.
yeah. So we just played a Guitar Hero song. Actually, we failed at it, but
I don't think we failed. I think I just failed.
But
and brought everybody down.
Even as you fail at Guitar Hero and I might be okay at it, I still lose because you can play real music. So my Guitar Hero skills probably cannot be monetized or impress that many people ever, other than at a Guitar Hero party, which I used to throw a lot of those in high school, actually.
Oh.
It's like that's what made me cool, Guitar Hero parties.
Wow.
But so let's get into this. So I want to know, how did you guys get into music in the first place? And Robbie, you kind of started that. What's that look like for you guys?
Do you want to start or you want me to start?
Go ahead.
So one of the reasons why you don't know that we're brothers is because we have different last names. His dad is my stepdad. And so,
Okay.
yeah, his dad married my mom.
Mhm.
So my last name is Madison. His last name is Simmons. And our mom is a vocalist. She's a singer. She was a choir director, an organist, and a pianist at a church in downtown Charleston for a long, long time. She started leading there when she was 15 years old. And both of our grandparents sang in that choir as well. They did lots of programs. They're very well known in the church circles of Charleston. And then my dad, my stepdad, Michael's dad. Tristan's our other brother. And,
Wait, there's another one?
Oh, there's a lot of us, bro.
So
we have a big family.
How many brothers do you guys have? What's that look like?
So
Growing up, there were 5 of us.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Growing up, there were 5 of you. In the same house?
2
What'd
girls,
that look
3
like?
boys.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 girls, 3 boys.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, older sister Kim, and then Brooke. So it's Kim, then me, then Brooke, then Tristan, and then Michael is the youngest. He's the baby.
And you're the oldest, Robbie?
Second oldest.
Second oldest, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, Kim is a little older than me. She's 33.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and our stepdad, he did a lot of music in town as well, and he helped to establish a lot of gospel music programs in the city, and frankly is just kind of a musical genius. And so he actually had like lots of musical groups and a recording studio. One of the first, I think it was the first gospel recording studio in Charleston for many years. So we kind of grew up around that. They also were both pastors. They both went to seminary. Our mom and my stepdad.
Oh, wow.
And
So that's a huge influence on you.
yeah,
Both your parents being pastors.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Some people can claim one of them are.
we're PKs.
That's huge.
Yeah, like big time pastors.
Pastors'
Like
kids. Okay, tracking.
yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, PK. Pastors.
It's like a category of its own, right?
Yeah, it definitely is.
But it's not just pastors' kids, like pastors with the apostrophe after the S.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
That's like a whole nother category. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. They spoke and ministered all over the place, and our mom actually spoke in many parts of the country and even did like some international ministry as well,
Oh, wow.
some missions and stuff. And so they did big conferences in the city, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of how we grew up, for like with music and production being a big norm. You know, like it wasn't anything foreign to us.
Yeah.
Because the family just kind of did it. You know, so we were always around it. So, yeah.
And when did y'all become stepbrothers? With that, right?
So our parents are married way before he was born.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael's 12 years younger than me.
Okay.
I think our parents got married when I was in elementary school.
Gotcha.
So yeah, most of my life.
Right. So most of your life. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Sure.
Mhm.
That's huge. And so that sort of dynamic started. y'all gonna share the coffee?
Michael's yawning over there. Drink some coffee.
How many cups of coffee did you have at the breakfast place?
So too much.
Clearly.
You know, shit, waking up at 4 every day is not the best thing in the world. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we can get
This
into
is really good.
that. Oh yeah. Well, I just gave the coffee. He put all the
the
stuff.
the flavor though.
He
is
put all the
really
good flavor stuff in there. The brown sugar and the milk in there.
Sugar,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
little
the ticket.
obsessed
That's the
with coconut
ticket.
milk.
So Michael, maybe let's then switch to you. So that was your dynamic your whole life, right? Since you were
Yeah.
born. So did you grow up wanting to do music, or what did that look like early on?
Yeah, I would say I grew up like my dream was to like travel the world, go on tour, be this famous singer,
yeah?
blah blah blah.
Okay.
And then it took a toll in high school where I wasn't really doing a lot of music. I was kind of just like living life, doing the whole high school arena thing. But yeah, I would say music has been like a very huge impact ever since I was younger. Just kind of growing up, being in recording sessions and like watching performances and being a part of concerts and stuff like that. It's just, yeah.
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 There's like a gnat.
I'm like
I've been
You gotta watch
watching it.
out, dude. It'll fly straight up that
Come in my
nostril,
mouth,
man.
like,
It's always trying to get me. It's like this one gnat that just
One that.
it's always one.
Pirates
It's like never
always.
like it's like always just one that
Yep.
follows you
it's
everywhere.
the
you
brave
go.
one. The rest are cowarding somewhere in the trash bag.
They're planning and plotting against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are your parents? Are they still with us?
Yes.
They are still alive.
Right. Fair enough.
I was like, I mean, well, with us, like together.
They're not together.
Well, I guess I ask because a lot of people I work with, a lot of them, some of their parents have already passed. So
yeah.
So are they still doing ministry here in town? What's that look like?
Yeah. So, you want me to answer?
I mean, I can answer.
Yeah. You go.
So yes, my dad is still pastoring a church in North Charleston. Him and his wife are pastoring a church down there, and my mom is still doing ministry. Does a lot of side engagements and stuff like that. Not as involved as she used to be, but she's taking kind of time off, just kind of live life. I would say we spent a year taking care of her mother, which is my grandmother. Well, actually more than a year, like what, 3 years?
Before that was granddaddy.
3 years. So we were like, she just took what's it called? Oasis?
Hiatus.
An oasis.
An oasis.
Took an oasis.
She took an oasis. No,
She took a hiatus at an oasis.
There you go.
Yep.
But yeah, so
That's the best.
So they're still in ministry, but yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, like, in a time of more rest, she plugged into Seacoast, which is where so Michael and I have been going to Seacoast about 14 years.
Yeah.
And so
The first well.
it wasn't the well.
All right.
The first, yeah.
The annex.
The annex.
Yeah.
I think I went to the annex like once. Now, was that for high school or just college?
It was for college.
It was 18 to 35.
Was it really?
Which I was not 18.
I must have
but
snuck
weren't.
into the annex or
I
something
did
because I
too.
definitely went at some point. I was not 18.
I think they had like club annex after
Club
that, which
annex.
is,
Yeah,
like,
club
high school.
annex,
for the high school.
Yeah, for the
And
high school.
then they figured out that like putting a bunch of high schoolers in a dark room like it
Yeah,
wasn't a great idea.
Not a great idea.
I was like, what, 4 or 5 going to the annex?
yeah, I
6
think
or
Michael was
something
like
that.
5-ish.
I went for the
something like
free pizza, honestly.
that. He would
Yeah.
always say, "Hey, Robbie,
Right.
can we go to the pizza church?"
The pizza church.
Yeah.
I liked going because they had GoldenEye you could play before
nice.
services.
I have to.
GoldenEye for the N64.
I have a really funny story about Michael.
Do tell.
About Michael.
You can edit this
just
out
Like,
if
no,
it's
this
Do
is
tell.
embarrassing.
Yeah, we'll edit it out.
because you asked about
Trying to
him
wink
doing
here.
music and how he kind of got into music, and I remember Michael more so as a little kid, like tiny little kid, and very energetic, always the leader of the pack. Doesn't matter. He was always the smallest, but he was, always like bossing around his little cousins, his older cousins, and all of that.
True.
Wow.
And
It's
yeah,
not true
and
at
so,
all.
but the funniest thing was that, so I went to School of the Arts too, like Michael Root.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, so I'm old school. I'm OG.
And you majored in
OG,
what
SOA.
at School of the Arts?
Trumpet.
Trumpet. Okay.
Yeah, so instrumental major.
That's pretty wild. I don't think I've ever seen you play trumpet.
Yes, it's a sort of topic.
All right, we'll revisit this later after we do a little bit of healing here. We'll revisit this.
So basically, I was big into musicals and stuff like that, and really into it because School of the Arts used to do musicals every other year, and I just think that they're the best thing in the world because you get to act, sing, and dance all in the same thing. So I was really big into the musical Sound of Music, and one year I bought it for my mom for her birthday. And Michael, because we shared a room, me, him, and Tristan, one day I was watching it, and Michael literally came in, and he saw the TV, and he saw the people, like, acting, and then they just, like, bursted into song, and his eyes got so wide, and he just stared at the screen, and I was like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? He's like, they're singing in a movie. He's like freaking out. I was like, yeah, it's a musical. Like, he's like,
Don't remember this.
This thing is a musical. And like,
It's funny. This was only like a few months ago.
and then he literally watched The Sound of Music every day. It's like a 3-hour movie. And I was like, Michael, like, then he became obsessed with Broadway. And then, do you remember any of this?
No, I don't remember.
This is what we need the older brother here for.
Right.
Broadway? Are you for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
I always thought he was going to go on Broadway.
Yeah, that's huge. That's the side of things that I never grew up. Neither of my parents are pastors. Neither of them play music, anything of that sort. So it's a whole life that I was never really exposed to, other than just listening to music like most people.
Yeah.
And the whole Broadway thing. I mean, definitely. I think Disney movies. I don't know what your impression on Disney movies are, but I think growing up they had a huge, almost Broadway feel to them, like
Absolutely.
Lion King, and we'll get to Lion King here in a minute. But Lion King was such a favorite movie by a lot of people that are my age. And I don't know whether
they're making a live version of that movie. Actually.
They're making a live version.
What actual lions?
Live action.
Live action. That's
Is it going to be animated or is it actual real lions?
Suppose real lions.
What?
With little children, this is going to
Are
go
they going to
well.
be like speaking words?
Yeah. How are they going to train them to speak words?
You got Narnia, Aslan or Aslan.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But movies like that, if you look back on it, you don't know it when you're a kid, but they're almost, I don't want to say indoctrinating you, but exposing you to like really good music. Like if you go back, like, it's pretty amazing. And even though it's animated movies, they had performances in the background, putting in really high quality music. So I think that's really neat. And that's at least an observation I've made looking back on not just Lion King, but and at what point then did they turn Lion King into a Broadway musical? Do you know?
Oh, that's a great question.
Excuse me.
I mean, it's been on... Michael.
Any burping, back away from the mic.
That came out. Well, there. All right.
So, Lion King, I'm not sure how long it's been, but it's been on Broadway for a long time.
Right.
And it's been one of the most successful musicals on Broadway. And I mean, I guess like Tony Award winning and all of that,
Yeah.
They're always sold out basically. And they're still going, it's been a long time.
Yeah. And so that's a big deal on Broadway. And you recently auditioned for The Lion King, the musical on Broadway.
I did.
And so when did you want to do that, or what sort of encouraged you to audition for such a big role?
Yeah, so I grew up, I went to School of the Arts, and there I was a trumpet major, but part of the reason why I picked an instrument is because outside of school, we were singing all the time in church and different places and stuff like that. So I wanted to learn an instrument and whatnot, but I was still passionate about singing, passionate about musicals. And so I think it was like 8th grade maybe when I first just decided. I mean, Lion King has always pretty much been one of my favorite Disney musicals and from the old movie and everything. And so I just decided, I was like, one day I'm going to be Simba on Broadway.
And what does that even look like? Because I've never seen it. I don't know if you can look it up on YouTube, but are people dressed up as animals? What's it look like?
So they actually, for a part of their costuming, their directors have created these like headdresses that have lion heads on them. It's not an actual like lion head, like not like you think like a stuffed lion head. It's more like it's just kind of more artistic, more thinner faces, and lots of they've got their manes and stuff like that. Everybody's dolled up.
Gotcha.
I've heard there's lots of like giant, for lack of a better term, puppets.
It's like drag for lions.
Something like that, I guess.
Wait. Hang on. What is drag? Like drag queens? What are we saying?
What does that mean? I think
I'm like
the only thing that I would say is Rafiki is played by a woman. That's about it.
Rafiki is played by, and Rafiki's the baboon?
The baboon, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The wise baboon.
The wise baboon. Yeah. Yeah, so like that's a big part of the musical is that like the costuming is like breathtaking. Now, I will say personally, I haven't seen the whole thing. I've heard a lot of the music, but I'm kind of selfish about that when I only want to see that one on Broadway. I don't want to see an off-Broadway or like a YouTube version, but you can watch it. I've only seen the scenes that Simba has done, because for the audition piece, I wanted to try to get some context and, have that for the audition. So I've done lots of auditions. This particular audition has been one I've been waiting on for a long time because I would say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I went up to New York. Funny story, I left my trumpet in New York one time randomly.
Is that
long story?
Is that the touchy subject part, or is
kind of
part of it?
A little bit. That's a part of it. So anyway, I went back to New York to go get my trumpet and just spend a couple of days there. It's like one of my favorite cities in the country, in the U.S. Yeah. And so I went there and I was like, I'm gonna see if I can get like discounted tickets to Lion King and finally see it live, And I walk in the front door, and the guy in the box office, I was like, hey, do you guys have like any discount tickets or anything like that? And he's like, yeah, we don't do discounts here because we sell out every day, every show. I was like, awesome. All right, cool. Who do I talk to about auditioning then? And he looks at me and he's like, go through that door over there and talk to the guy at the desk. And I was like, on the inside, my jaw dropped. On the outside, I was playing it cool.
I mean, that's pretty sweet. They could just tell you like, yeah, email this email address or whatever.
Right.
Like just getting in front of somebody is the biggest thing, getting somebody's attention.
Right. So it just was kind of, I mean, like I was just walking into a dream moment, and I went to the back and I was talking to one of their managers. He was kind of like a stage manager for them. And he basically told me like, they don't really, like right now they're not really hiring, and they're not doing any, like, they don't really do live auditions there. They post them kind of on open casting calls and stuff like that. So he told me the site to look up, and I looked at that for a while, and all I saw were like auditions for theme parks and overseas, and like I saw a Spanish version, and all that stuff. So it wasn't until like a year ago that I thought, I have never seen an audition pop up for Lion King on Broadway. Like, this is crazy. Am I looking at the wrong site or something? And so I was looking at DisneyAuditions.com. Well, I was missing a word because there's a separate site. It's Disney on Broadway Auditions.com.
Oh, they're just messing with us now,
I just happened to right. So I Googled it, and I was like, all these years, I've literally just been looking at the wrong website. And so I typed it in, and the first thing that popped up was open casting call, Lion King Broadway. And I was like, are you kidding me? And it was in like, it was in like a week. It was like the following week. And I think that one was in Florida or something. And so I considered driving down, but I had another commitment, like leading worship somewhere. I was like, I can't bill in this. So I didn't do it. But there was another one coming up in New Orleans. So,
oh, wow.
So I talked to my wife, Elizabeth. I was like, hey, I might have to fly to New Orleans. And she was like, you need to go. This is the audition you've been waiting for. And I went, and I, like, it was a cool experience. I mean, I've done lots of auditions. This one, I did notice that there was a lot of, like, I don't know, varied levels of applicants there. Like, it seemed like mostly amateurs that were there, like first auditioners kind of thing. So I didn't really know what to think. It was an interesting process because generally the typical audition, you get 30 to 45 seconds to sing, and that's it. So you pay hundreds of dollars to go and sing for 45 seconds.
Oh, wow. And
I went upstairs. I gave them my sheet music. They started playing it as soon as I handed it to them. I didn't even get a chance to slate and introduce myself and all that. And I sang my song. It went okay. I think it went well. But it was like super rushed, and then I left, and I just had this like crazy feeling that like it's like I don't know if I got this, And then crazy thing is I just had this major rush flood over me, and I kind of had a slight panic attack. It might have been a major panic attack. And as I was walking down the streets of New Orleans, because like this dream that I've had since 8th grade, I finally get this opportunity to audition for it after years of waiting for an opportunity. And then I was rushed to do this in 45 seconds and didn't feel like it went well, and then like it kind of led me to this place where, which is kind of a message like that I share with a lot of youth a lot of times, like, talking about going for dreams and talking about going for aspirations and stuff like that, especially when you feel like the Lord has placed that inside of you. And I've always been, an agent of that, like really like encouraging people to go for those things. But in that moment, it was the voice of the enemy just entered my head so mightily. And it was overwhelming. I ended up having to call my friend, and tell him like, look, you need to talk me down because I'm going a little crazy right now. And, and the enemy's telling me that I'm not good enough and that I'm never going to be good enough and all this stuff. And that I've missed my opportunity. I hadn't even heard, like, the audition was like 30 minutes prior. Like, I hadn't even heard back or anything, and it just was just overwhelming. And I started thinking, how can I tell people to go for their dreams and to go for their goals if I've failed at this, every time? Like, these doors haven't opened for me. And I just, talked to God about it. I was like, how can I even do that, And it just was interesting because it took me a long time to kind of get over that audition. I never heard anything back from them. Like, music and entertainment industry is not the kindest industry.
Oh, wow. So they never, even to this day, do they ever get back to you?
Nothing. Yeah.
So if they don't accept you, you just don't hear anything.
Right.
And
well, you get put on hold. So after an audition, any audition, like, you go home and you wait, and you may or may not get a phone call. You may get a phone call later, weeks, months later, saying, hey, we really liked what you did a couple months ago. At that point, you've already given up hope, Or a couple months later, you still don't hear anything, and they have no intention of calling you back. So it was interesting. It was definitely it was kind of like the culmination of a lot of stuff for me that the Lord was trying to teach me about having just being affirmed in Him, and confident in who He called me to be, and versus like what the industry might say or what anybody else might say. Like the thing that I need to be concerned about, and anybody really, is what the Lord says about you, what your calling is, and being obedient in that calling. Because the world, the culture will tell you like that it's all about approval, and the culture will tell you that you haven't made it unless you did this, unless you took these steps, or unless you did that, when it's totally not true at all. And although I would love to be on Broadway and and be in The Lion King, and if they called me soon, I would probably take that opportunity. But if they don't call me, like the reality is that as a worship leader, I get to sing messages that change people's lives, and that draw them close and draw them near to the Savior and the Creator of the world, And so Broadway would be a wonderful experience, and I'm like a big component of that. But what I get to do right now, I personally don't really think that it gets better than that, So
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Getting that fulfillment in what you're doing.
Yeah. When you see like real life change,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's huge, knowing your why.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I mean, I'm in a similar, or I was in a similar boat, because doing an Ironman triathlon, I mean, you guys kind of know I'm into fitness and that sort of thing. And what most people don't realize, and I'm usually pretty open to telling people about it, but if people see my tattoo and, comment about the Ironman tattoo, I usually don't tell them, oh yeah, I failed my first one.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't tell them, yeah, I trained for a year and then I failed the first time I attempted to do this sort of dream thing, dream objective that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't even matter. And sometimes your dreams shift too,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a really great message, at least attempting.
Yeah.
And then that may spur, and I'm sure you grew from the experience too.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone, going to New Orleans,
yeah,
from Charleston, South Carolina, was that where you were at the time?
Yep. I was in Charleston.
Right.
That was my last Broadway audition for now.
Sure.
But I've auditioned for quite a few Broadway musicals, but this was like the one that I actually wanted.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's pretty incredible. And
mm-hmm.
and Michael, kind of switching to you, have you ever considered Broadway, or is that almost like a whole nother leap that you've never thought about?
Yeah, nope.
No. So Broadway's not necessarily.
I mean, I didn't remember when I was just like, I did. I remember there was a time. I remember we were talking with the Lion King a long time ago. I remember that. But yeah, Broadway. Mm-hmm. I love Broadway. I love like the music. I love the feeling of it. But when I want to do it, probably not.
Sure.
Mm.
Just I'm more of like, I like the entertainment aspect of music, like the performances, the tours, the world.
Mm.
That's kind of my vision as I see. Like, all right, that's what music. That's kind of what I want to do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was gonna say you're super charismatic. Whenever we let loose, like Robbie's shaking his head. Because whenever I first met you, I didn't even really realize you were a student, like at summer camp.
Oh yes.
I mean, you were, because it was so funny. at these summer camps, you usually need somebody to kind of be like the champion of the energy. I don't know if you guys agree. And you brought it. It was pretty. You took our flag, thing, and you'd like wave it around like a maniac.
Yep.
I forget. I don't even remember. We were the band, the
Ninja Pirates.
The Ninja Pirates. You probably
Yep.
could remember our chant. I can't.
Ninja Pirates. Something.
1, 2, 3. Some way to
Victory.
Oh man, yeah. But it was like times 10 intensity, like out there.
It was Josh Walters' daughter who came up with that chant.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Pastor Josh Walters
Yeah.
at Seacoast. Yeah. And we were doing tug of war last year.
gosh,
And we
that
won
was
tug
like-
of war. I think our
Against-
girls
We
even
lost.
won it for
We
us.
lost the first one. Then the girls won the second one, and then the joint one we won because we did Columbia the first time. Lost
All those bodybuilders.
because we lost the first
Oh,
time.
goodness.
The Columbia bodybuilders.
The third time we did it, it was like we just yanked everybody, and it was like, woo.
I mean, I feel like that was kind of like a Little Giants / David and Goliath kind of moment.
Because I mean,
They were not high
all of
schoolers.
them.
I swear they were all mid 30s, pretending to be teenagers.
They had facial hair coming out of their entire face.
Yeah.
God. But yeah, that was actually my first year, like
Yeah.
at camp. Didn't know a single soul. Super shy the first
Yeah,
night.
no, it was huge. You left a pretty big impression. And then it was kind of funny. Then we end up being in, so I do several not youth group. Well, I do several youth groups, but I do, several small groups with people that are about my age. And then we ended up, we're kind of in one of the same small groups together.
Yep.
And so it's been good trying to get to know you a little bit more. So
Yeah.
have you thought about then, and I know we'll even get to kind of what you're doing in this next phase of life a little bit, but have you thought about performing or acting as a means?
So I used to, not professionally act, but
Okay, well, you are, 19, so
Yeah.
okay, you haven't been
So
as a
I've
child
done a
star
few
yet.
plays before and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed acting. Never took it seriously enough to like pursue it, but I loved it. And so recently I actually been like thinking like, oh, it would be nice to like start acting again, start performing again. But as of right now, I'm kind of just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. In a way,
Okay.
Like my dream is to like make music all across the world, travel the world, doing tours and stuff like entertaining people. Like that's like my dream.
Okay, so that is sort of your dream in a nutshell.
Yeah, kind of like the here's what I want. Here's what God's probably gonna do. Aspects of it.
Okay,
as well.
so you're insinuating maybe they're not the same right now.
I think it's
Okay.
because like I love entertaining, but I also love ministry at the same exact time. So
Okay.
yeah, so I mean the dream is to like make money traveling, singing.
You do
making
have to make
music.
money traveling,
You do.
generally speaking. I don't know how the apostles did in the
I don't
New
know,
Testament, but generally
listen,
it's
you
a lot more
gotta-
encouraging when you make money too doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like watching like different artists, like just seeing their like. I think the person who kind of like is making me kind of like want to pursue it more is Justin Bieber. I would say because it's like just seeing his growth from posting a video on YouTube, that going viral to like now going through life and like now like making millions of dollars and like being successful and then actually living his dream out. It's kind of like, oh wait, well I can do this too. There's multiple
Right.
people now who I'm like seeing who are like started off just singing in like parties, singing in clubs, singing at their church, so, and like seeing them actually work the craft that God's given them and like seeing that actually manifest into something tangible. It's like, wow, like maybe I could do this too. Just
Right.
enough fire behind it, I guess you can say. So
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Justin Bieber. I mean, I don't know anything about him. I don't listen to his music. I don't know a whole lot. But he's been around now because he's probably about your age, right? Or is he a little bit older?
okay, it's weird. I know this. He's about 2 years older than
Okay,
me.
yeah. So he's, I don't know, he's 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
younger than me, but so he's always kind of been around as I was growing up, and it's pretty wild because whether you like his music or not, you have to acknowledge that it's like a gift of God that
Yeah.
like someone his age could be picked up and still be around, because most people like
Drop off.
most people drop off or go, and maybe he has gone crazy. I don't know his phases, but
Yeah.
A little bit.
one almost
A little bit. A lot.
one almost has to somewhat go crazy whenever you're in the spotlight, like, and that's all you've known. And I don't know what his parents look like. I don't, what that family dynamic looks like, or if he has siblings. Michael, maybe you know. I'm not sure.
I do know.
How many posters of him do
Michael
you have
was
in your
big
room?
into pop culture growing up.
I was like, I mean, I knew everything about every celebrity. Like, it's just, but yes, he has 2 siblings, I think.
You think?
His parents are divorced. I know that for a fact. His mom's
Right.
name is Patty, actually.
Wow.
Patty Mallet.
You're like a walking Wikipedia.
Patty who?
Like Mallet or something like that.
Oh, the
I don't
Patty
know.
mayonnaise.
But it's so funny. But like, he started off like with a Christian background. Like, him and his friends all. I actually met one of his friends like at a coffee shop one time in Atlanta. But they all started off in a Christian background, and it's like to see like very on power for God, like very like going to these different like partying and like drugs clubs and stuff, but then to see it actually kind of revert back to God, because like he's in this phase where he's actually kind of like he canceled his whole entire tour to like focus on God.
Yeah, I heard about that recently.
And he's connected with Judah Smith and Chad Veach and Rich Wilkerson, Zeus Church and Zoe Church, and I think it's City Faith or whatever Judah Smith Church is named.
Yeah.
It's some church in Seattle.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I don't
he's
know.
a well-known pastor.
Yeah,
Judas Smith.
very. Yeah, but
Sure.
like seeing him like realize, all right, it's actually all about God. Like without him, this would not be. And seeing like kind of make that U-turn, like, all right, I need to like focus, get serious with God before I can like get serious on like my, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a guy like that with that much name brand notoriety,
Yeah.
I mean, they can almost do anything with that influence, because it's all about influence, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if people know your name and recognize your name, and you carry that much value in just your name, you can really influence people either really well or really negatively.
Yeah.
For that matter.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could. I mean, we could, for all we know, in 5 years, be telling stories about like how many things he did for God. In 5 years, like miracles happening. Who knows? Because I don't know if he's necessarily been living in that sort of way for a long time yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty wild. So you would maybe mark him as someone your age that's kind of been sort of an inspiration, would you say?
Definitely inspiration. I mean, I can't not give the guy credit. Like, it's like he did it. Like like what I'm trying to accomplish, he's done and is doing it. So it's like, why would I try to hate on him for something he's doing? And it's like, definitely someone I would like. My top 5 people, I would say, this is someone I look at for success wise.
Yeah, that's
definitely
huge. Well, I'd like to know more about what those other 4 might be or whatnot here in a minute. But we're about out of time where we need to take a quick break. So we'll do that and we'll get back into some of the conversation.
We'll be back later.
That was beautiful. You want to do a jingle for us being back?
All right.
What you got?
Do, 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 do. And we're back with the Generation Giant Show.
That was beautiful. Yep, I might record that and just make that a regular audio track.
Thank you very much.
So Michael, you're definitely in sort of the age category for a lot of listeners. What were some of those other influences then growing up, whether they're musical or not?
Well, I would say music-wise, I love people's work ethics, and that's what draws me to them. And like a key person, I would say, which some people would be like, why? She's just so overrated. But Beyonce has the best work ethic I've ever seen. I mean, if you watch her work, like, she is a perfectionist, but it's in a good way. It's like, when you're wanting to do something, you don't have to do it. You do it fully. You work at it. You work your butt off towards it. And I have to say, it's like, she did it. Like, she worked out, and she deserves everything. She's like, deserves all the millions, all the applause, like everything. I mean, just watching her work, watching her evolve from starting off in the group, but taking it serious at the age of 16.
Was it TLC? What? Or is that a channel on TV?
So it's actually a group, but another group. It's another group.
If Beyonce ever hears this, she was probably just offended. What was her group again?
It was Destiny Child.
Destiny Child.
And
they were kind of big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like started at 16 or 15, and like see that grow and taking what she made with that and like going solo and then watch her build an empire for the music industry.
Yeah.
Like, she's one of the top highest paid celebrities right now. I mean, music wise, I would say, because there's no one as of right now who's alive who could match her in her capability. I mean, because like one thing I learned with music is that you have to do a lot of promotions and a lot of like, this is coming up. Her 5th album, she just dropped it. Like, they didn't do any type of notice. No one knew. It was just like and it went platinum within a week.
Wow.
And it's just like watching. It's like it shows you how, like, what you want to do, you can do. And another, a lot of people are just like, why do you find these people like as in like why do you look up to them? But his name is Cameron Dallas. He started off as a YouTuber, and he had a dream, had a goal. He did it. And he made it work for him. And now he's like modeling for Versace, modeling from Michael Kors, Calvin Klein, traveling the world, doing like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it's like it all starts with a dream. It's all about what you want to do with that dream. Either you can like let the people say, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that. That's not worth it. Like, that's never going to happen. Or you actually can like work your behind off and like actually try and work your craft to that dream, because any dream is possible. I feel like sometimes we forget that it's okay to dream again. It's okay to like have these dreams, but dreams are possible. You just have to work.
Yeah.
You have to work towards it. And
right.
like, with him, it's just like seeing him like say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And like seeing from making YouTube videos, from that going from like 0 followers to now 13 million followers, 1,300,000 views, and like seeing a constant cycle of that, and like seeing income coming off basis of just that. It's like, dude, anything is possible. And I think with this day and age, social media, you could like make your own platform and like build off of it. 'Cause a lot of people are doing that now, where it's like they don't. Before, like, you needed someone like to help push you, but social media has been like a very great thing for a lot of these new celebrities, new artists, and stuff like that, I would say. Yeah. So that's a few people, and Jesus Christ, of course. JC, the JC.
Yeah, he's kind of been a big influence for me as well.
Jesus Cristo.
Yeah, that's huge. And so I want to stop on the platform issue. You said building your own platform, and I think that's maybe an interesting point to at least pause there for a minute, because a lot of students, they're still trying to figure out what their platform is, trying to figure out what's important to them, who they are. Kind of where do you see, I guess, for you personally, kind of where is your platform?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay. You're trying to,
I mean, partially, like, I know it's like I've been leading worship for like a year professionally now, I would say. And like I find like that's where God is like wanting me to be at. He's placing me there. But like every day is like I'm kind of like, all right, God, what's next? Like, is it this? Is it that? Because I'll call him like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm switching to this. And it's like, I'm doing this now. Or I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this. And it's like, I feel like between the age of, not the age, but the grade, 6th grade up to your 4th year in college, you will continue to not know what you're called to do. You'll have an idea, I feel like personally, but you will never really be like, all right, this is it. There's a few people who I know are like, all right, this is what I'm doing. There's people like me who's like, I was going to school for worship leading. Now I'm not. I'm probably going for student ministry, but then like, I want to major in psychology now, and I want to do this. And it's like, but now I want to do music. I want to do music, not worship leading music. So it's like you have to just try everything until you really find what fits you the best. As I was, I mean, me being in high school, my idea was, all right, I'm gonna do the whole American dream thing, which is graduate from high school, go to a 4-year college, get a job, live life, 9 to 5, whatever. But I think it's okay not to follow that plan, because I didn't go to college straight after high school. I took a year off, went to School of Worship, which is like not a very common thing people do, but I did that instead and had the best time of my life. And I learned more about myself than I ever have. So I would say just like take time. Like don't feel like you have to rush it to like, I need to know as of right now. It's kind of like throughout living life, throughout going through life, you'll figure out what you're really wanting to do, like your platform, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And maybe maybe just one way, what way did School of Worship kind of help you to learn more about yourself? Was it the challenges or what was it?
I would say probably just because like I remember I was saying I had a mentoring session with one of the teachers there, and we were talking. And I said, I realized this year was never meant for music or worship leading. It was more of like a spiritual encounter with God and spiritual healing from God. And I will say that I learned a lot about myself through mentoring, because it was like I thought I was okay. Like life was good. Like, I thought me personally, I wasn't screwed up. I was like, oh, I'm good. Everything's fine. Yeah. Deep down, I'm really messed up. But I would say it taught me more spiritual values and more about loving myself and like being okay with where I'm at. Because I'm a person where it's like I'm always looking forward, never looking at right now. And I think sometimes we're like, you just have to be okay with where you're at, because it's okay to be right here. And plus, I think I'm learning this now, but a lot of people my age, we keep forgetting we're only 18, 19, 17. We don't have to have it all figured out. Like, it would be nice to, but like, we're stressing ourselves out saying, I need to figure it out. I gotta get this done. Like, I can't, blah, blah. It's like, you have all your life.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even 20. Like, you have all your life to really, like, figure everything out. So School of Worship taught me really about being okay with where I'm at and working that. And so that's big. And Robbie, I want to pause. So you brought up a good point of just having everything sort of together and having things figured out. And so you present a perspective 12 years older. So you're 31, Robbie.
You have it all figured out, Robbie?
You have everything figured out.
It's interesting because that is a common thing, and we ended up having to read. We started reading a book. What is it called? Generation
Giants.
No, it's called.
We have a book.
IY.
Maybe one day.
IY Generation.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah, Pastor John Home actually had a lot of it.
Who is the pastor?
Shout out to John Holmes, Custom Student Ministry pastor.
Woo-hoo. He's amazing.
Right, he's a student pastor, sort of over all of Seacoast. Student ministry. Okay.
All the 13 campuses, and so he had us reading and studying through IY Generation book, and that book actually focuses on people more so in Mikel's generation, Mikel's age group. And it talks about how, like, it was crazy because as I was reading through it, like, I would go hang out with Mikel and, like, see things just, like, come. Like, it would say things like, this is the most overwhelmed generation that has been in existence. And then he'd sit in my car and just, like, burst out into tears because of, like, trying to find an answer to one question. And I'm like, whoa, calm down. Like, and it's like a big part of it is the IY, it's like the little I, as in like iPhone.
Right.
And it basically talks about how it's the generation that is completely like, I would say I'm kind of in the millennial. I'm like right on the edge of like the whole millennial deal.
Yeah, I'm a little bitter about the whole term millennial.
Right.
It's like they captured they like went backwards and captured like a decade or two before the millennium even started. But anyway, okay, yes, you're on the fringe.
So I'm on the fringe of what they're characterizing as that. But the big difference, I guess, is what they're talking about is like the surgence of technology. And the iPhones and how you got everything like now, instead of having to plug up the computer and go to dial-up and use it at school and stuff like that, now everything is in your hand and everything is coming at you so much quicker. So now the human brain is having to like process information so much quicker than it ever did, and at some points it's like overstimulating. So you've got all these things, and then you've got all these pressures too, because like when I was Mikel's age, like going to college was slightly becoming a norm, but it was still kind of like not everybody went to college, but there's kind of this expectation to go to college. And then like when I was about halfway through college, it was like now everybody's supposed to be getting master's degrees, and it's like what, you can't keep up with like the development of everything, and now, so like years later, Michael's like facing this reality is like, oh, I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to have this figured out. Like when I went to college, there were so many people that went there and were undecided. There were so many, I mean, there's like a large percentage of students that enter college and just drop out within the first semester, and that's like, they call that the retention rate, like how can we keep students here kind of thing.
Yeah, colleges definitely want to.
Oh yeah.
Primarily, I think, because of money.
Yeah, definitely because of money, but but a big part of that is like this huge pressure to try to have that figured out. But the thing that I've known, because I've dealt with that pressure, a ton, and the thing that I figured out by just asking questions and meeting people a lot older than me is that there are people in their 40s and 50s, and they'll tell you now, like, I still don't have things figured out. Like, I thought that I had them figured out or whatever, but I still don't have it figured out. I'm still trying to figure, like, I have older people that look at me and they tell me, like, I wish that I could, work doing my passion, because I chose to make my passion work, as my career, versus take us, most of our family and just a lot of people in general, like they'll take a separate route and then do their passion as like a hobby on the side. Yeah. And I felt very clearly called to do this as a profession. And it is very difficult and it does not make a lot of money, unless you were to somehow go viral on YouTube or something like that,
But most pastors just do things on the side.
Right.
It's usually
so
what they do.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, the music aspect of it and stuff like that too, just if you get picked up, but yeah, it's just that pressure to have everything figured out is, I would actually say that it's actually a false emotion that we have in our society that is built on the made up value of control, and like you have to appear that you have everything in control to be validated by culture and society, when really that's not really of the greatest importance, and even when you travel the world, I mean, I've lived in other places and there's like almost like this pressure had just been lifted off of me, like all of a sudden I'm not under the microscope of America to where I have to produce something. It's like, oh, I can just sit here and have a coffee and a tea with this family and and really enjoy life a lot more than the hustle that I was in the current of America, so yeah, like I wouldn't say that I have it figured out per se. I would say that I've like accepted my call for the most part. I feel like there's like levels of that, and I've accepted a good part of my call and just kind of walking in that. I got a lot of debt, and like so
you got the student loan debt.
Oh yeah. And so like that's gonna take a long time. Like I just have to like not give into the pressure of like letting that crush me or rule me, because God's just gonna take care of that. Like just giving Him day by day. Like somebody shared a quote with me. I'll see if I can find it.
So good you logged it on your phone?
Well, we have a group me.
Oh, heck yeah. I got one of those with my small group guys as well. We try to do scripture every day.
Yeah. And I made them post it because it's
Michael,
kind of
a something too.
Long.
No, I don't support group me at all.
You don't support group me?
Oh my god.
You're an iMessage kind of guy?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, actually,
Lord.
yes. I do not support group me at all.
We just found out that group me is not cool.
Lies.
It's for people 12 years and up.
I will. There's 12 years and up. Well, okay.
12 years older than you?
12 years older than me and up. 30
so
plus.
Of course.
So what was, do you have the...
Yeah, so this is from Jim Elliot, who was the missionary to Ecuador that was martyred by the unreached village. And I think, so he was writing this to his wife. This is in a letter that he wrote to her. And it says, I'm going to try to read this. It's a little confusing. It says, what is actual. What might be simply is not. And I must not therefore query God as though He robbed me of things that are not. The things that are belong to us, and they are good, God-given and enriched. And so, like, It's a Jim Elliott quote. You could probably like Google it and read it again. But basically what it's saying is that in our minds, we stress ourselves out about things that may be, like about the future and stuff like that. And basically he's saying that is also simply false. Like all the things that we're making up in our minds about the future is false because it's not actually here yet. So he's saying what actually is what we've already been given. Our present and our past is what is. And he's saying that those are the things that are good gifts that were given from God. And so Michael said that he struggles with that. I struggle with that all the time. I'm very futuristic, visionary. Always thinking to the future,
which is a good thing, I think.
It totally is a good thing.
Gift to be able to do that. A lot of people, it's probably better to have that gift than not. Probably. Yeah,
I would say like one of the hard things about having that gift is appreciating the now. And being able to stop and being able to pause and being like sure and content that you are where you need to be,
Right.
Like you might think like, oh, I haven't made it yet, or I haven't gotten to this point yet. And it's like, no. Like you are living it. You're literally walking in it every single day. Yeah. So open your eyes and look around and see what the Lord has placed around you, because that is what the blessing, that is what the Lord wants to give to you. That's what he's given to you. And so we, when we take our focus off of that and we put it to the future, it's like, oh, but I want to be a millionaire one day, or oh, I want to be like this, whatever, like we end up, if we don't put the focus back on the present as well, we end up taking the value away from the present and everything that we are in right now. So
that's a great way of looking at things. It reminds me of a quote, I think it was by Andy Stanley. It's good enough that, if I misrepresent him, I think it would show him well. But it's he said, what we once prayed for, we probably are living in right now.
That's good.
And we forget that, wherever you are, right?
So true.
Right. Like you may have been praying that, one day you get to go to a school of worship or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I remember I was sharing this with Jan Radikoff, who is the Dean of School of Worship with Robert Williams and Trevin Link.
Okay, at the Seacoast School of Worship.
Yes. But I was talking to her one day, and I remember God gave me a vision a long time, like when I was like 10 or 11, and like I remember I thought it was just my imagination for a very long time. But I remember like seeing me on the stage and like lights and blah, like all these different things, and like it was a very like blurry vision. But like throughout the year, this year it started getting more clear and more clear, and I was like, all right, cool. It's like I'm seeing this like 10 times more. Like, why am I thinking about this all of a sudden? But it was like it was like a rehearsal before First Wednesday, and we were just praying, and God like brought the vision back to me, but the vision was 10 times clearer. And like I remember I was like, God, I want this. This is whatever this is. I want this when I was younger. And like I prayed that prayer, and then it was like April 4th, because first one was April 5th. We had a rehearsal and we were praying, and God brought the vision back to me. And it was the same vision. It was 10 times clearer, but it was like I saw what was going on. So in my head, I'm thinking all these big lights and it's like this big concert or whatever, but it was actually a worship service instead. So it's people like with their hands lifted, raising, like worshiping God, and like I was on the platform like singing, but I thought it was more of like a actual performance. But little did I know, what I prayed for a long time ago, God did that, and it was like, oh, okay, let's see, prayer does work. In mysterious ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so let me ask you guys this, because y'all grew up in such a pastoral home, and we have some listeners who may not be into faith, and so all this talk about prayer and God and everything may be somewhat foreign to some listeners. Do y'all have a word for those kind of students who are maybe still trying to figure out faith and what that looks like for them? Michael, what you got?
Honestly, I'm on the spot, but if you're like trying to figure out your faith, I would say, like, I think faith to me and like Christianity to me has been like, it's always been like a feeling. I would say like when I first started kind of like really getting into it, it was like, what is this presence of love that I'm feeling all the time? Why do I feel joyful? Why do I feel this? And I'm like, this has to be God. And someone who's like struggling, like, all right, is God real? Is he not real? I would say, I don't know what to say. I would just say, it's like I feel like in our own times, we figure out who God is in our lives. And I feel like throughout life, people realize, oh, this is what God was. This is who God is. And like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, this is what I've been missing. I feel like if you're questioning if God's real, you know there's something missing within you. Like, something's missing here, but I don't know what it is exactly. Is it God? Is it not God? And I think there'll be a time when it's kind of like, for me, it was summer camp. I was struggling with my faith. I was to a place, now I'm pastor's kid, but it was like, God can't be real. I'm going through all this crap. God is not real. Like, what kind of God is this? And like, so I was like, I'm done with it. Like, I'm done with Christianity. I'm done with this whole crap or whatever. I told God that like a week before summer camp.
And this was a year ago. Right?
And I was like, I'm going to give you one more. I'm like, why not? I'll try again. I tried, and like, it was in that moment who I realized God was when I was just kind of, it's like God's different to each of us. It's like a very different, it's like you may experience God one way, and I experience God one way. And for me, it was kind of just in that moment where it was like, I felt so broken and so hurt. And like, that was the only thing that was comforting me in that time. And so, I mean, if there's someone like whoever's listening, it's just like, if you're struggling with that, I would just say, don't let other people's like relationship, like, we see certain people like Christian, and we see them like how they are with God. We're like, oh, I need to be like that level. I have to be like where they're at. And it's like, that's not true, because all of our relationships are very different and just different with God. And it's like, if you're struggling, like, dive into the Bible. I mean, that's one way I would say, because I mean, I've never personally, it's just me beyond. I've never dealt with someone who. I have friends who are atheists, but it's like kind of like aware. I know why they are. I understand where they're coming from, but I've never dealt with someone who's like kind of like, okay, like, well, who is Jesus in a way? And I can explain it, but it's kind of like they're wanting to know, not someone who's kind of like, kind of iffy about it in a way. So I don't really have much to say about that, but just saying that, you know, it's not something you have to be forced into. You can choose if you want to do it or not. It's not something that I feel like someone should be like pushing down your throat. It's more of a choice. And I think if you're wanting to know who God is, He will reveal it to you in a way that you'll be able to understand it.
Yeah.
I feel like as Christians sometimes we do use these big phrases about like, you know, seasons and prayer and like all these different things. And there's people who don't know what that means. They're like, all right, well, so yeah, I don't know. Robbie, you probably have a better.
No, it was good.
No, that was really good. And I mean, there's even different philosophies on how to approach ministry and on what God is, because God has so many different things, this notion of God. And, you know, it's interesting you brought up, you know, one shouldn't be pressured, I think you said, you know, to the gospel, which is an interesting way to look at it. And I think that's a way of looking at it that's growing, because I think my impression of maybe decades ago in ministry, it was more of like, more casting fire and brimstones and like sort of like thou shalt believe or else kind of thing. And I think that's eroding away a little bit as churches like Seacoast are getting bigger, which have more of an openness to it. And, you know, Paul writes, love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. And if God is love and we are called to love others, then that would seem to indicate that love wouldn't necessarily pressure anyone to believing anything against their will. Obviously, you want to be a good influence. It's kind of a tough line, though, I think.
It's always a choice. Like, Jesus always gave a choice. He never said, you have to be a Christian. It's a choice. And it's like, the one thing I can say, because I have a lot of friends who aren't walking Christ, but it's like, because you're like not forcing it, you're not being so like, well, the Bible and throwing it at them, it's like, just show love, like be kind, like be a friend. It's like, it's just be who you like, be yourself. It's kind of like you can choose. It's like, I'm not going to force you to do this, but if you want to do it, here's what it's all about. But if not, I still love you regardless of it. Like, isn't changed by perspective about who you are, because God never didn't do it to us. Like, when we sin, He still like has the same perspective about who we are in Him all the time. So it's kind of like, man, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's a great tool. Like, God doesn't pressure us, but He beckons us. You know, so with that being like kind of like the light at the lighthouse, you know, He's like showing us where the light is. He's showing us the direction. He's not pressuring us to do that. He gives us free will, you know. But does He want us to choose Him? Yeah, absolutely. You know, He wants us to choose Him. He doesn't want us to choose a life of sinfulness, or or a life that is far away or separate from him. He doesn't want that, because he designed us, and he gives us the things that he created us to be like completely satisfied with, and so when we like basically not choosing him according to his words would be depriving ourselves of what that satisfaction might actually be, and it's so interesting because like man, we are from the South, the Bible Belt, in the States and whatnot, and I guess even even Charleston is called the Holy City, so like literally a church on every corner. Like there's so many churches down here, where it's like it has shaped our reality, in some ways good, in some ways probably not so good, so all that to say is that it's very different for us than it is for a lot of places that don't actually have a Christian culture and such easy access to the Bible. It's really crazy because you go to some countries and people are literally fighting to be able to open the book and read a couple verses. Like they're fighting for that opportunity. And they also know that sometimes if they were to open the Bible in public, they could either be shunned from their families, separated from the families. They could be killed in a lot of places. I've known missionaries that go to other countries and that have been threatened to go to jail or threatened to die just for the fact of having a Bible.
And you've traveled, you've done mission trips abroad, and you've been in these cultures, like actually visited them.
Yeah. Right? So I haven't been in a high security area yet. I mostly do Central and South America.
Okay.
And so generally speaking, the culture down there is more of a nominal Catholic society, to where when you ask someone, are they Christian? They'll say, no, I'm Catholic. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Interesting, yeah. And then I said, okay, how'd you become Catholic? And say, well, my grandma was Catholic, so we're Catholic.
Right.
And that's the general response there, And it's mainly just because it was like something that was passed down from generation to generation. If you even ask them anything about biblical truths or anything like that, generally speaking, they won't have an answer, in a lot of cases. And it was interesting because like the Lord has called me to missions, and he's called all of us to share the gospel, but with this missions call, sometimes it's in a very intentional, constant, period of time or whatever. So there was one story that I love. It's like one of my favorite moments in my life, really, where I spent basically a year with a student of mine on mission when I was living overseas, and he was an atheist. And I basically I got to see him go from atheist to agnostic to Christian within a year. And it was really a crazy and like life-changing process for me, because it basically was, we'd see each other all the time, and almost every time it was like the Lord was beckoning him, like pressing on his heart, and like he started seeing the way that Christians are supposed to live, and serving others and loving others, and actually like doing, serving people in the community and going to the orphanages and, stuff like that. And it drew his heart, and he, basically wanted to be a humanitarian, and we got a chance to share with him, like, within that year, is like, it's not because of our heart for humanitarianism, it's our heart to love. It's because we love God and we've been changed by God. The fact that we live in this outward way to where we love people, and that hopefully this light will actually push them to Christ, as well. Granted, we just love them anyway because they're God's creation, but also we hope that it draws them to Christ. And every time we would have conversations, he would have like a list of more and more questions, about the Bible or contradictions or whatever. And I was not very well versed in a lot of that stuff, but I prayed all the time and was like, Holy Spirit, give me an answer for this person, because my desire is that he would know you, not my knowledge. I don't really care about that, I want to know about you, but that's it. So And it just was a long time. And after about a year of asking questions, I remember this one conversation I had with him, and I said, here's the deal. Like, there's something that's blocking you from not religion, but actually having a relationship with Christ, an encounter with Christ and an actual relationship with Christ. Mm-hmm. That does not, our culture even believes that having a relationship with Christ means going to church on Sundays and doing a year in the Word plan or whatever, right. Like it's like a bunch of things to do, but no, it's actually having a relationship with the person of Christ,
right?
That connects us to God. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so all these questions are actually like secondary to why you don't, like, what is stopping you actually from believing in Christ? And I remember his response was like, I think that people that believe in Christ always came to this point where they were like broken, or hurting or something like that. And then they called out to Christ to feel better or to fill them or whatever. And it was very like situational. And I was like, man, that's actually really good. Cause like that a lot is the case in a lot of cases. Yeah. Like people have these like transformative experiences and, whatnot. But then the Holy Spirit just shared this perspective with me. It's like people, whether you know it or not, we all have a need for God, for Christ. We all have that need. We're born with it. We're made with it because we were created by Him. We are made with that need. Sometimes it takes those situations for us to realize that need, but that doesn't mean that the need wasn't there. Right. And so, communicating that truth is like, we, a lot of times when it's like there are these barriers or whatever that are keeping us from God, we blame it on so many things. We blame it on the church. We blame it on, the Christians that stand out with picket signs saying that Jesus hates the gays and, whatever. And like all these crazy demonstrations that aren't really biblical.
Right.
Right. And it's like we blame everything on that. And it actually stops us from the real thing, which is having a relationship with Christ. And that wasn't even ever supposed to be the point, Right. Even to the point where like Michael Gungor wrote a song. I can't even think of the title track, but it was on the Beautiful Things album, where he's basically naming all these things that we hold above God instead of God. And people will, they'll say all the time, you can't prove God without the Bible, and Romans 1:20 actually speaks out against that, that His invisible qualities are made manifest in things that were made so that we are without an excuse, which means that God puts His fingerprint in all of His creation, in the mountains.
Yeah, that's big. That's big idea, big statement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so like He doesn't only yes, we do need the Bible. Like He gives us these instructions to help guide us, to help get us closer to Him. But, God, literally, I believe that He gave us the Bible as a snapshot, snapshot of who He is. And He gives us, it's a giant snapshot. But when we get to heaven and we get to be with Him, I feel like our picture of Him will be so much immensely greater than it is right now, Yeah. And so simplifying it, love God, love people. Those are His two big principles. And I think that as we kind of grow in those things, and our picture of Him grows, and we start to understand a little bit more. Michael and I have been through a lot of hurt with family and church and traditionalism and stuff like that, but God remains the same, Yeah. And so being able to see that it's not in all of our little Christianity structures that we build up here, especially in America, in a Christian nation, which I'm super grateful for, because I wouldn't want to grow up in a nation where it's hard to read the Bible. Right. I feel blessed beyond measure.
Blessed on birth.
Right. Exactly. I did nothing. It's like grace. I did nothing to deserve this. Right. But while we have it, take advantage of it and share it with the people that don't have the opportunity as much, or as openly. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's big stuff. Well, as we begin to sort of wrap up, if there was maybe one just central idea or theme or belief that you sort of recognize in your life that you would like to sort of pass down and speak into the listeners what might that idea be?
For me, I would say is vulnerability is key in life. Mm-hmm. And something that's kind of helped me through everything is just the saying it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to experience emotions. It's okay to let those walls down. I feel like just like going through high school and like going through life, it's like you have to like, you feel like you have to put on this wall, like hold the world on your shoulder. Like you have to like be strong at all causes, and it eats you up inside. But like letting that emotions, letting like that rushy, like letting it all go and actually experiencing and feeling it. We were studying this sermon in at school last year, and it was talking about the grieving process. And sometimes we forget to actually, we get so caught up on all right, this has happened. I need to figure out a way to fix it and get over it. But we never take time to actually grieve over it. We never take time to actually experience that hurt, those pains and emotion. And it's like when you don't experience it, you grow bitter. You grow like, you just get angry. You're like, why am I upset? Why am I hurting? Like all these different things. But you never took time to actually grieve. And what I would say to anyone who's listening is like, what you're going through, don't hold it all in. Like, cry. You don't have to be strong. You can let these walls down. You can let go. You can experience these emotions. Like, I know you may feel weak, but vulnerability is key, because what I'm learning about God is like when you're vulnerable, it allows an entrance to fill you up with so much more than what you have. And so it's like, open yourself up. It's like, be okay not being okay. And it's hard. It's very hard, because I feel like a lot of people have the mentality of like, you know, being the hero of the day. But like, you have to remember, who's like, the hero needs someone to save them as well. Yeah. And so let God be that hero. Like, open up to God. Just like how you're helping everybody else, let someone help you. And so that's what I would say to whoever's listening. Like, just let go, man. Like, or gal. And let go, man or gal. And just kind of like be vulnerable. Be like, find someone to confide in. Find someone to pour out everything you're feeling, and like seek help. Like, if you need help, find it. That's another thing. I feel like a lot of times we don't, like, we're wanting help. We're wanting someone to help us. We want someone to pour into us. But it's like, if you need it, pursue it. Like, find someone to do that for you. So yeah, that's a few things.
It's good.
I would say.
That's really good. Robbie, how about you?
I would say, like, probably put pride aside and embrace community, because pride a lot of times will pride is always the enemy. It distorts our view. It makes us think of different things, and like, society tells us so many things that that frankly just aren't really true a lot of times, and a lot of times they aren't lined up with what God says about us either. And right now we're living in a generation that we have the right to be different, you know, and so, which can be very good and it can be very bad, because sometimes I feel like our even that there's some pride in that too. Like, how dare you tell me I'm supposed to do this, you know, or I'm supposed to, you know, I'm a man, so I'm supposed to play sports and I'm supposed to, you know, get my hands dirty or whatever. And so then I feel the need to do the exact opposite, you know, because I can.
Rebel. What a not,
you know, it's like,
rebellion. Wow.
Right. Yeah.
It's totally new to today's
it's like
society.
Masked, you know, but it's like, if you don't accept everything, then you don't, you know, then you're hated for it, you know, whatever. So anyway, just like set pride aside. Also remember that people are important. And I would definitely say people are more important than money, you know, like prioritize your relationship with the Lord and prioritize your relationship with people, because we get so packed in this rat race of I guess the American dream or whatever, you know, just earning so much money and getting to this place of wealth. I mean, I can't, you know, it's just such a constant battle, and we get packed in this rat race of, even like, you know, part of the reason why I want to be debt free and get rid of these student loans is so that I don't have to think in this perspective, you know, like I don't have to be weighed down by, you know, having to earn another dollar, because what that means is that all the money that I'm paying for debt, like, I mean, just think about, like, I mean, our student ministry has given thousands and thousands of dollars to build wells all over the world that's keeping people alive. You know, meanwhile, like, I'm on hold because I'm paying back debt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like, and so realizing that people matter much more than money does. Like, and so don't build your career and all that based off of how much money you can get out of it. Build it based off of who and how God has wired you, and how is that going to impact the world to become a better place, you know, for the advancement of his kingdom, you know, and his kingdom means a people that were created to love, actually loving each other.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff, guys. Well, as we sort of get into our outro, I'm probably going to put you on the spot to play a little number tune.
Yeah.
But how about shout outs? You guys have any shout outs y'all want to give?
Go ahead.
Shout outs.
Just don't list everyone that you know in your life,
right,
like Michael Root tried to do.
Shout out to my wife, who is awesome.
Biff.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Some people call her Biff.
She's a lovely lady.
I call her Elizabeth, or mi amor. And
she's Filipino, right?
She's Filipino.
Right.
But Filipinos speak Tagalog and Visayan.
Totally.
So
what do I know about
that? Was Spanish. And then I'm going to do a shameless plug as well. I just had a single come out.
Yeah, okay. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called.
How do we access it?
It's on iTunes and Spotify. It's called Psalm 23, Robbie Madison.
Find him at Robbie Madison Music on Facebook and Instagram. He has a link to his music that's there, Psalm 23.
Nice. I forgot about the thing.
That's awesome. Wait, so on social media, what would we look up?
Robbie Madison Music, ROBBIE Madison Music, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You will find the link in this bio with links to music. So,
Do you work for Robbie?
No.
Hey, man, you might not need to start getting a little cash flow there.
I know, right? You might get hired.
Good stuff.
Yes, if you need any type of marketing, let me know. Anybody.
My website also is just robbiemadison.com. So trying to keep it easy.
Yeah, and do you have any personal social media, or did we already cover that?
I do. I do have personal social media. Like,
you can try to add them on Facebook. You won't get accepted.
Yeah, I should say, do you have any social media you want to plug that you would potentially accept people?
So Robbie Madison Music on Facebook is my artist page that I just started a few months ago. So I'm rebuilding that because I'm out of room on Facebook personal page. And then the Instagram is Robbie Madison Music.
Okay, Robbie Madison Music. Awesome.
And those are pretty much the two that I use right now. I'm writing, and rehearsing with other musicians and trying to get some more recordings out there. So yeah.
Awesome.
Shameless plug.
Good stuff. Shout outs. Yes. Shout out to Custom James Island. You guys are our favorite group of students.
Oh yeah.
Love you guys. Shout out to Custom Columbia. Also another group of my favorite students.
That's the priority.
Favoritism.
I know.
They were still number 2.
You got 11 more campuses to go, Michael.
I know. SCU Seacoast, everybody.
Southeastern University.
Yes,
Seacoast
Seacoast School of Worship, all you people, family. It's just so many people to shout out. But yes, I don't have the music out. Nothing for me to promote. But you can follow me on Instagram at Mikel Simmons, Mikel. Repeat that, Mikel. Simmons, SIMEMONS. I post a lot of pictures, a lot of random videos on my stories that you guys may or may not enjoy. I'm a pretty funny person some days. Some days.
Some days or Sundays?
Some days.
Okay.
Especially Sundays.
Especially even better on Sundays.
But if I could just promote SCU, guys, if you are a upcoming senior or whatever, looking for college.
Senior in high school,
junior in high school. Check out SCU. You can go to scuseacoast.org or check them out at SCU Seacoast on Instagram. You find all the information there. We do ministry leadership, worship arts, associates of arts, and then general education as well. So you're able to come here to your 2 years of just your general ed and transfer to wherever you want to transfer to. But I think it's a great location, a great just place to be with people. So if you're looking for a place to be closer to God, or friends, or the beach, come to see Seacoast. So
Yeah.
that's
And
all.
that's SEU as in Southeastern University.
Southeastern University,
Seacoast,
Seacoast.
yeah.
Not the one in Lakeland. You
No,
will get
the one in
lost.
Charleston.
Charleston.
Yeah,
Mount
don't go down to Florida.
Don't.
No,
Come here to Charleston.
come to
Yeah,
Charleston.
come to Charleston.
Florida's overrated.
Pretty much. And it's cheap.
Actually,
What's
there's
the-
a lot of traffic now. I'm just playing.
No, there's no traffic here. Everyone is awesome.
$30,000 a year or
attractive.
pay $10,000. You pick your choice. No.
Yeah, the price point. That's definitely something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, good stuff, guys. Well, thank you guys again for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you guys, and obviously, you guys are part of my circle here in Charleston and church. So
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for
Kyle.
inviting us. This was
absolutely,
fun.
especially on short notice. So
Yeah.
appreciate you guys. You got a tune for us as we get out.
Do. Well, that's all on today's show with the Generation Giant Show. We'll see you soon. Anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
That was great.